introduce the panel. Perfect. So welcome again to everyone. I think everyone's joined the room now. So today is our open event for studying at the School of Management. It's just a general event with myself, and I'm Grace Gayward, the Student Recruitment Marketing Manager, our careers consultant, Aled Williams, two of our lovely students, Tasmita and Elizabeth, on the management program and the entrepreneurship program. And we've also got my other two colleagues from student recruitment here, Howard and Paulina. So we're all here today just to answer your questions and give you a bit of information about the school. So I will get started. There we go. So as I just mentioned, we have two of our lovely students here today. So we have Tasmita and Elizabeth, and Tasmita's on our MSc Management program, Elizabeth's on our MSc Entrepreneurship program. You can see what they studied before, which is quite useful for you. I think if some of you are thinking, oh, is that similar to my background? Or maybe they'll understand some of my questions from transferring from psychology or something like that. So they'll be here to take questions at the end, and again, if it's burning them throughout. But it's a great opportunity for you to actually find out what the student experience side of it is all like. So thank you both for joining us today. But we will get into it. So I'm not going to spend too much time on all of these slides. I think most of you know who UCL is, and you're interested in it and you're applying to it. So there's a few bits of kind of key information on there to have a look at. But what I really want to highlight here is that we've been around for a very long time. We're a very established university. We know what we're doing in terms of being the first in things. So the whole disruptive element that we have has been from the ground up with us, and we're a very global community. So we have people from over 150 different countries, and that goes staff and students. So you really will be entering a global network, which is fantastic. And again, this just gives you some of the data on that. So across university, we've got over 440,000 alumni in over 190 countries. And that just keeps growing. The School of Management is growing, and the university that's just going to keep going up. And you can see that our international cohorts are very strong, and our international staff. So we have great minds from across the world here to teach you. UCL, obviously, is ranked very highly in league tables. So we've got 9th in the Guardian University Guide, 9th in the world for QS. And then you have the University of the Year for 2024 and HESA, which is top international student recruitment. So we really are London's global university. But we're going to get right into the business school. So obviously, you're here to talk about the School of Management and studying with us. Now you can see, hopefully you can see my mouse, but this building here is 1 Canada Square. So this is where we are based. The School of Management is based in Canary Wharf, which is East London. And we'll talk about that in a minute as to why we positioned ourselves there. But this is just the skyline. And you can imagine from this 50th floor, the view that you'll get. And I'll let our students kind of fill you in on that because it really is unlike anything you've ever seen. So the mission at the School of Management is to create world-leading disruptive research for entrepreneurial leaders for the complex interconnected world of the future. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but it essentially means that we're joining up our research, our entrepreneurial focus to really make sure that you're future-proof for the changing landscape that is business and management. It is really disrupted by technology and so many other factors. So we need to make sure that as graduates, you're prepared to go on and master that and take on leadership roles. Again, we're ranked quite highly as a business school. So these are just a few of the places that we rank very well in for 2025 for business and management specifically. And some of them are UK, some of them might be worldwide. So just to note that. And accreditation. So I think in terms of business schools, accreditation is something that most of you will look at, and we do get a lot of inquiries about this. So we have AMBER accreditation. So that's for our management programs and our MBAs. And we're currently seeking accreditation from AACSB. So I think most of you will know that you have AACSB and other bodies that can accredit a business school to give it that badge of honor and show actually what the programs and the teaching and the quality is worth. So it's to give you that stamp of quality, really. So hopefully that's due to be sorted out this year. It's a long process. It's about 5 years in total for some of these accreditations. As I said, we're located in Canary Wharf. So that is London's business and finance hub. It's a strategic location. So we chose to be based there because it gives us access to leaders at global companies, at banks, at hedge funds. So literally as we sit at our desk, we can see Citi, Bank, we can see HSBC. I think I can see I think, is it JP Morgan? There we go. They're all coming into my head now, but we can see all of them from our desk. So what that means for you is that you're exposed to the industry, you're immersed on it. When you're coming up for your lectures, you're literally sharing the lift with people that are leaders in their institute, or you're coming on the tube with them. You're seeing that at lunch, but it means that we have access to these people. So they'll come over, they'll deliver a lunchtime lecture, they'll deliver a lecture after work. So it just allows you to be fully immersed in that for the entire year that you're with us. It might seem ridiculous, but you won't often find that a chief exec has got 3 hours in their day to give up to travel across London to go to the centre and deliver a talk. So having them 10 minutes away where they can nip up on their lunch break means that, unlike other universities, we have such a fantastic pool of people around us that we have easy access to, which means that you build your network from day one. So what we offer, a few things that we offer are obviously our curriculum, our international faculty. So as a business school, and this is something that's represented in the fact that we will be hopefully accredited soon from the AMBA, from the AACSB. It means that our researchers and academics are leaders in their fields. So it's not that they're straddling two different topics and trying to teach them so they know a bit of both. No, they are researchers and academics. So you really are getting the best of the best in terms of your teaching. A lot of them even dip into consultancy as well. So they're actually working with companies and they're bringing that data into the classrooms, and those live, actual topical experiences that you can engage in and embrace. So it's something to think about as well. You get a lot of support from staff. Hopefully, if you have any questions about that, do ask our students as well. And obviously you get the career support, which we'll delve into later on. And there are lots of extra things that we offer. So you get speaker series, you get professional development, so master classes, which will be on specific topics. There are opportunities for summer schools. You have the facilities available to you. So at the moment, we have 2 floors in level 50, in One Canada Square, level 50, the highest one, and level 38. And we're acquiring more floors over the next 3 years. So you really do have a fantastic modern space for you to feel comfortable and to study in. And obviously that comes as well, facilities, they might be virtual, so you can get access to different libraries and platforms and things like that. There are also language classes that you can attend. So if they are at a fee, but they're discounted for students. But we have a fantastic language department at UCL, so it'd be silly for us not to get you guys to make the most of it. And there are lots of public lectures and events. So we have a lot happening in the School of Management, and then there are wider things at UCL that you can tap into. So you get that interdisciplinary and cross-departmental element as well. So there are lots of things open available to you. Just an example of some of our summer schools. Again, these can change each year. So I've put a list on there, but just be mindful that it depends and they can change. But these are things that are open to you. So we have strong connections with these universities. And it just means that we're also working with their academics. So whilst we have the summer school options, we have our foot in the door with them. So you'll get speaker series and you might get taster lectures where people from those universities are coming, or if they're not directly delivering them, they're feeding into some of our case studies or curriculum as well. So it's just something to bear in mind. You really are getting a lot in the network that we have that feeds into what you learn from us and what you can take. So we'll delve into the programs. The on-campus programs that we have are listed below. You can see that there are 3 that I've put in there that are in kind of a pinky purple color. Now these are new for 2025. So these are new programs that we're launching. And so the applications are open for them. It might be that one of you are interested in these programs already. I think, as I said, lots of you have come to the virtual open day sessions, so I'm seeing some names. So you've probably come to your specific program talk and you know a lot about the program itself. But these are the ones we deliver on campus. And then we also have 2 online programs. That's the UCL MBA and our Strategic Accounting and Finance. Again, this one's new for 2025. Now, in terms of the delivery, what I would just say about these 2 programs is that whilst they're delivered online, it's not a isolated experience. We have built these programs to be delivered online. They've not been converted. I know in COVID, lots of people had things converted and it probably felt a bit strange, but they were developed to give you that synchronous and asynchronous learning. So you get contact time. We arrange in-person events. There are immersions. So it's and there's lots of group work. So it's a very hands-on. Both of them are hands-on and connective programs. So they're not online, leave you to yourselves to have to study. That's not what we do at School of Management. We want to make sure that you're constantly learning from us. So what I'll do is I'll go into the programs very quickly and just give you a few key highlights on each. I won't spend too much time on this. I think most of you know what program you're looking to apply for. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, the key for today is for you to really talk to us, ask your questions, and actually have a bit of a chat with our students and careers consultants and ourselves. Now, business analytics, as you probably know, it's very much focused on data analysis, coding. So you'll learn things like Python and how to code. You don't have to come with any previous knowledge. We will teach you. Obviously, if you want to be having a nicer semester one, then I would say have a little bit of a practice over the summer so that you know what you're getting into and you can build yourself up. But one of the things I like to pull out about this program is the end of year project. So you actually spend 3 months embedded in an organization to work on a consultancy project with them. So we will help you find that organization. And we've had in the past non-for-profits, we've had Burberry, we've had Deloitte. So we have a range of different companies that we partner you up with. And you will find they'll say they've got a problem, for example, with their analysis of their supply chain. So it's not really working for them and they're not being very efficient with it. You will then have to look to try and fix that for them. So you'll get access to the data, it'll be real industry data that you can use to work with them and resolve that problem. And that's what makes up your consulting project and dissertation at the end. So the good thing about this is when you leave us, you already have worked with an industry. So you've worked with a company in an organization, you have practical experience you can take with you. So that's something to bear in mind. Our entrepreneurship program, it says 1 year or 2 years part-time. The part-time is very much in specific cases due to visa requirements and things like that. We have to, unfortunately, it's not available to everyone as part-time, but check out the website to see if you are one of those people that fit in that demographic. So this program really is for those of you that want to become an entrepreneur, and Elizabeth can contest to it. We'll kind of talk about this later on as well, but it essentially is not for anyone who really wants to work for someone else. You have a business idea in mind, you want to take that, launch it, and make it your own. It becomes your baby, your life, your everything. The reason being that if you're thinking you'd like to learn more leadership skills, then we can talk about other programs that might be better for you with an entrepreneurial track in there as well. But this one is if you want to start your own business. What's fantastic about this program is it's a very integrated cohort. So it's very practical and hands-on. So you work a lot with your fellow peers. You do things like pitch days. So every year there's a pitch day and you'll have to kind of audition for it, as it were. Only 10 people are selected from the whole program, which is around a cohort of about 70. And you have 5 minutes to pitch your idea. And then you have 3 minutes for a Q&A. So what that does, and you're doing this in front of angel investors, academics, other entrepreneurs, your peers. So it really puts you out of your comfort zone. But what it makes you do is fine tune your business, how it's going to be profitable, how you'll scale it up, how you've got your prototype. So this is something that when you get to that stage to then become one of the presenters on the pitch day, you have such a fantastic deck and you're so experienced about speaking about this that it's going to really hold you in good stead when you're going out trying to get investment from other people in the future. So that is actually due to take place in March, so we haven't had it yet this year, but it's a fantastic day. And again, it's giving you a skill that you need as an entrepreneur. We also do international treks, and some of those have been to Barcelona, Dubai, Helsinki, Korea, Singapore, so a wide variety of places, and that is to show you global entrepreneurship. So you'll meet entrepreneurs from different countries and you'll understand the nuances, but you'll also understand their journey. Some people may have had entrepreneurial success in different countries and they can show their global pathway. So it's a fantastic program, lots of different nuances that can be considered and taken into account. Sorry, my throat is extremely dry. I'm talking too much. Clearly, I need to stop at one point. Masters in Finance. So this is specifically for people who want a career in finance. It's delivered jointly with our economics department, which is one of the leading departments in the country. So you get 2 fantastic departments in UCL. The curriculum is closely in line with the CFA. So for those of you who are interested in finance, you probably have heard of the CFA. It's not to fast track you to take CFA level 1 and 2. That's not what it is, but it prepares you for the teachings that are in the CFA. The curriculum's nicely entwined with it, but it also gives you the things that we think are missing from the CFA. So it's the scientific foundations and the things that it doesn't include within that. So it's a great program to give you the best of both in that sense. And we'll typically see graduates go on to take financial analyst roles, corporate analyst roles, and the list kind of continues. But I think the main thing for you to think about is that this is going to give you a solid foundation in financial practices and theory internationally at an international scale. It is very quantitative, so you will need a background in some sort of statistics, economics, finance, something similar to that, just to make sure that you have that ability. But it's a fantastic program. We've been running it for years. It has actually changed this year. So we've developed a new program, which I'll talk about in a second, which is Finance with Data Science. So we've essentially changed the curriculum of this because we've built a new one as well. So this one used to have some elements of the data science in there now, and we've stripped them and taken them to the new program and developed this more in the kind of typical financial practices that align with the CFA and things like that. So it's not an easy program. I will point that out too. Our Masters in Management is our kind of most popular program because it's more of a generalist program that offers you a little bit of everything, and you can tailor it with your optional modules to kind of get you in the different avenues that you think you might want to be in. Now, this one has two pathways, corporate and finance. To take the finance pathway, you will have to evidence that you've had some element of finance in your background. So it could be modules you've taken on your undergrad, could be extra things you've done outside of that, but we'll just need to know that you've got that basis of finance and that understanding. So this is quite a good option if you don't meet the requirements for the finance program. Say you've not got that background, but you still want to do it and you've got a little bit and you've shown us that you have an interest, maybe you could look at this instead. If you're interested in the finance pathway, you have to make that clear in your letter to the program director when you apply and just say this is the pathway, evidence why, and that decision is taken by the program director. It gives you a real solid understanding of what managerial issues are, and that is at a global scale. So you will be able to come out of this and you'll have, and even if you take the corporate pathway, you'll still have financial understanding as well. So we won't completely ignore that, but it just won't be as in-depth. So you'll get leadership, you'll get negotiations, you'll get technology, you'll get finance, you'll get a little bit of everything to really make sure you can position yourself well as a leader. Now, these are our new programs we're going to move on to now. So this is our Masters in People Analytics and Human-Centric Management. So this really does go beyond a typical HR program. It's focusing on data analytics and the human-centric perspective. So that's not something you see typically in HR programs. They're normally very much aligned with some of the CIPD kind of curriculums and things like that. And this is not what this is. We need to make sure that you have that data ability as well, and that you understand the psychology behind human behavior. So that's why this is different. It really is future-proofing you for the world of work. So people now want in those senior roles within HR and those type of that type of industry, they want to see that you have more than just a process element. Like, can you understand the long-term effects of how organizational culture and behaviors will impact the profitability or the sustainability of an organization? So this is what this is really teaching you. We've actually got some great things within the program. So we have a guest speaker series, which will mean that I believe it's every couple of weeks they're organizing it for. You'll have a new guest speaker come in and tell you about things that are happening in the industry, and you can get that exposure to it constantly. So you're always ready. And then we also have the program specific advisory board. So this program has been built with industry experts on an advisory board. Now they are feeding into the curriculum, and they will do throughout the program. So you'll get to meet them and engage with them. Some of them are kind of chief executive officers. There's a variety, CEOs. And some of them are like the lead HR representative and have been for years. So you really are getting quite a nice variety of different opinions feeding into your curriculum to give you that historical and future-proofing element of the knowledge that we'll share with you. Then we have our Masters in Finance Data Science, which I just spoke about briefly. That one is a highly quantitative program, and you are going to be using real world data from Bloomberg, Retinib, and Python. So we actually have Bloomberg terminals in on the floor, which means you can build your own models throughout the year. You can start to, people love their models. They get very attached to them. When they go well, they're really happy. When they go badly, they're not so happy. The good thing is it's not real, so you don't have to panic that you've crashed a market. But it's nice to get you in that mindset. And employers want that now. They want to see that that's not a skill they have to teach you when you come. It's not common to have these Bloomberg terminals in many universities because they're not cheap, but we have them because we understand the importance of it. So you'll use it for some of your coursework, but you can also use it just to upskill yourself more throughout the year. It also has a data-driven project at the end. So again, you'll be working with companies using their data to solve a financial problem. So you're getting that practical experience before you leave us too, which is a really great element to the program. Then we have our Masters in Marketing Science. So this one has essentially been designed to address industry demand. So the reality of the Masters in Marketing Science is similar to our Finance with Data Science program, which I didn't actually mention there, so I will briefly. On the Finance with Data Science program, if it lets me go back, this is essentially to make sure that you are literate in data science. So people want you to now bridge that gap between the coders and the finance specialists. You need to be a bit of both, really, to take it to that strategic level. So this is going to give you that literacy that you need that is lacking in the industry at the moment. This is what employers have said graduates don't have and that they really need. Similar with the Masters in Marketing Science, employers want you to have that data analysis ability. So they really want you to understand what technologies are impacting organizations, how that can help with marketing and prototyping and understanding your audience and different things like that. So this one has been built again from employers telling us this is what we're looking for in graduates, and not from us, from across all institutions, and from us understanding how the organizations and the landscape is changing and what people need now in terms of skill sets. It's got a practical focus throughout. It will be very hands-on. And you again have the dissertation at the end where you work with a real life company on using actual data. So you're getting that exposure again. And it can give you quite a broad career. You could become an entrepreneur from this. You could do you could work in a startup. You could work in a large organization. So it really does leave the door quite open for you. And then we have our finance in strategic accounting, our master's in strategic accounting and finance. So this is online. It can be taken in 1 year or two. So it's a flexible model. You can do full-time or part-time with immersions over the weekends, which are global. So there will be opportunities for you to meet us in person. Now, this program really is for anyone who's just trying to upskill themselves in that financial and accounting element. So you could be a marketeer like myself and know that you want to work more on strategic budgets, and this program would give you that element. Or you could work in HR, but understand that within that comes staffing and how are you going to manage the budgets of new staff if you have an expansion. So you need to have that financial skill set. So this is really what this program can do. It's not going to pigeonhole you to become an accountant, but it will allow you to have those skills that you need to take yourself to that next step in whatever career it is you're looking for. So maybe if you've come out of undergrad and you've done something and you know you want to get to a leadership role in this could really help you. So it's for aspiring or managers or existing professionals who are looking to take that next step. Because it will be online, you really are going to have a global cohort, which is fantastic. There will be contact time. Don't panic and think because it's online, you're never going to get any contact time. You will. You'll have live lectures every week. You'll do a lot of group work activities, so you will have to meet with your classmates. And then, as I say, there'll be the in-person elements too, which are optional, but highly recommended. Perfect. So that's me covering all of our programs. I know that was a lot to take in a short space of time, but I think most of you know what program you want to study, and we can always go into more detail about it after. Little bits about applications. So we are in a competitive university, UCL and the School of Management. So I encourage you to apply early. Applications are closing slightly earlier this year. And when I say earlier, it really does vary. Sometimes it can be earlier in the cycle or later. Have a look at the different programs. Our existing ones that we spoke about for people who require a visa will be the 4th of April. Our new programs have different deadlines. Most of them are 27th of June, so they're a bit longer. So do make note of the program you're interested in, that application date, because it is different. Obviously, when we get applications, we don't wait until the end to assess them all. So the sooner you apply, the sooner we're assessing yours and the more spaces there are on the program. We cannot oversubscribe ourselves because that wouldn't be good for you or for us. You wouldn't get the great learning experience that we are renowned for. So the numbers are tight, and the sooner you apply it, the better. It takes approximately 10 weeks for application to be fully processed. This obviously can vary, so please don't take that as if it's 11 weeks, there's something wrong. It can change, but that's give you a bit of a ballpark on how long it could take. So please be patient with us. Then we have application tips. Make sure you meet any English language criteria and any of the minimum requirements. If you don't meet the minimum requirements, we don't see your application. So it goes to admissions in central UCL, and then if they will screen it. And if you don't meet those requirements, we will not see it. So if you feel like there's a really strong reasons to why you don't, then possibly you could reach out to us and we could say maybe we'd still consider it. But when I say that, it has to be a very strong reason. So for example, we once had an Olympian who didn't quite make the entry criteria, but he'd got a bronze for his country. We understand that he might have had conflicting, he had conflicting things happening, totally fine. So it's just a case of if you haven't met the entry requirements, it's most likely not feasible unless there is a very good reason. And English language criteria, you can apply without having your test, but then it'll be a conditional offer. So again, just get everything in order, get your references, get your English language, and just apply as soon as possible for complete application, because it will help you have more opportunities to get a conditional or unconditional offer rather than just conditional. So that would be my piece of advice. Think about what program you want to apply to. We advise you not to apply to multiple programs. This tells us you don't really know what you want to do. UCL policy actually states you're only allowed to apply for 2 postgraduate programs anyway. So my advice is really think about it. All of our programs are different. There'd be no real reason why I could see you would apply for 2 necessarily. And if you are considering, you're really struggling with business analytics or marketing science, what one do I do? Talk to us. You can always reach out and we can say to you, these are the main differences, or where is it you want to go? And we can work backwards from there, or which program would suit you better. So we're always open for those conversations. And then I think just you can see the bit about different countries and things like that. Sorry, this one here is for India, but we can give you more information about different country-specific applications as well. So obviously obtain your references early. That's something to mention too. But I appreciate I have given you a lot of information in a short space of time. We have time for questions. That's what this is all about. But I'm going to give my throat a rest and I'm going to pass over to our careers consultant, Alid, who will tell you about the careers provisions at the school. So over to you, Alid.
Thank you very much, Grace. And thank you for joining us today for this virtual event at the UCL School of Management. Now, as you are considering a program with our school, not only are you looking at developing your academic skill set, but you're looking at investing in your professional future as well. So our team here, our dedicated team in the school is, our offer to you as students really is, upskill yourself through careers and professional development. And we'll go on to our next slide. So in terms of what we're covering today, a little bit about us as a team. We are a group of people who come from various industry backgrounds. And I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the distinct flavor of the bespoke support that you would get from us as a team to clarify and further your career goals. Particularly, making it happen and, developing connections with key people such as employers and alumni, of which we are surrounded by many here down in Canary Wharf. And, just an example of what some of our alumni have said in terms of their engagement with us and how that's made a difference to their kind of prospects post, study with us. So let's launch in then to our team. We are a small and dedicated, but a growing team, as Grace has mentioned. We have, not only, very robust programs that are continuing, but, we have an offering of new programs as part of our expansion. And in terms of our team, there are 2 main areas or functions, really. Tina and Nida, they come from backgrounds in banking and journalism. and they will help you to broker those relationships with key alumni and employer contacts across key sectors of interest to our graduates, whether that's consulting, finance, data and tech, but also the entrepreneurial space as well. And it's nice that, there is a student from that course joining us today. Nikki, Martin, and myself particularly offer support on a one-to-one career counselling and career coaching basis throughout the year. And you can access our service from the time, you are a confirmed, job offer through our pre-arrival program up to 3 years after you complete your studies at the UCL School of Management. A little bit more then about these services in the next slide. So the bespoke support to help you with your career goals is, we are people who've come from backgrounds in recruitment for banks, whether that's Bloomberg, whether that is working for, a investment bank, or whether that is, working, at another university business school. And we bring to the mix, knowledge and connections that we've built up with our relationship with the alumni community as well. And that, keeps the advice that we impart up to date and in touch with recent trends in the recruitment market. Tailored one-to-one coaching sessions, just, today, this afternoon, we have one of our flagship events, which is a employer spotlight event with employers coming to speak to our students. But prior to that, many students will have sought out one-to-one sessions with us just to think about the questions they want to ask. But also, in terms of perfecting their job application pitch as well, and making sure that they're confident in their proposition to employers through CVs, LinkedIn profiles, but also in preparing for various interviews. I did allude to the pre-sessional program earlier. Um, we offer this particularly for our confirmed offer holders in August and September every year, and it's your chance to front load a lot of key information about the job market to give yourself a head start, because as you will probably be aware, the deadlines for graduate schemes, particularly for investment banking and consulting, that many of our graduates target, fall very early every year and start in that late summer. So it's a good idea to engage with our pre-sessional. So you'll get an opportunity during that period to speak to us one-on-one. But also we put on career pathway talks where you will hear from alumni who are working in either consulting, banking, or tech. Throughout the year, we consolidate that pre-arrival information through career skills sessions that we offer through a dedicated careers module. So every Wednesday on level 50 of One Canada Square, overlooking the banks, there's a hive of activity where you will either, be networking with employers, or you'll be working on a finance case study with an alumni working in, that, area, or where you will be doing mock interviews with employers who are visiting, giving you on the spot feedback. So we offer those sessions as part of the module where you can really add value to your academic studies and make yourself, a very strong proposition to employers. So that's just a taste of what we do to help you while you are with us. On to the next slide, then, please. Alongside the face-to-face support, we have a repository of online career tools, and VMOC is really a strong, rigorous tool that is AI-driven, based on recruitment practice, where you can put your CV through this platform and get scoring with feedback on your CV to ensure that it's evidence-based and that it is has substance and that it is concise and relevant. eCareers Grad is a very strong tool developed by one of our very own career consultants from a few years ago in the School of Management, but is used across the university sector, where particularly if you are going for case interviews or any interview with a graduate recruiter, you can practice. If you are also an international student, eCareers Grad allows you to look at which key graduate recruiters are sponsoring visas. And also it does provide very useful information on the starting salaries linked to those sponsored roles. Now, if you are interested in any form of consulting, then very often you'll be faced with a case interview. Love them or loathe them, they are there for you to show your thinking and to ask good probing questions before you put forward a feasible solution to a business problem. So Case Coach simulates much of that and has a bank of cases that you can practice. So you have full access to that during your time with us. And this year, just to update this really, we've got, particularly if you're finance minded, we have, you know, use of finance trading tools as well, which we will add to this as we go forward. So that's just to give you a taste of the online tools. Just moving on then to the next slide. This is just a taste of some of the employers and the alumni within them that we've engaged with on campus. And, um, we help to publicize, the speaker series, that happens within our programs, but also within our central careers offering. We do have presentations during the careers module, and many of these, employers have played an active part, either individually or as part of panels, where you can make links and ask those questions that might not always be easy to find the answer to on recruitment websites. They're an opportunity for you to do like a more personal pitch to many of these employers, and maybe to get or elicit personal insights from the alumni working there about what are the opportunities and challenges faced in their areas of work, to bolster then your applications to these companies. So on to the next slide then. Now, you don't have to take my word for our careers program today, but certainly I worked personally, as have my colleagues, with Jinlu, one of our alumni, who got a role, particularly as a financial analyst in the fintech space. But that was really through her engaging not just with that market, but prior to that in getting clarification on her career goal. And she found the one-to-one appointments particularly useful, and the coaching element of the mock interviews, where she virtually put herself, through that pain barrier of thinking about those difficult questions and giving yourself practice in a safe space with honest feedback. So she does attribute, the networking events that she attended and the skills talks to much of that success, really. And it was great to hear her speaking to students, in other calls where, we have spoken with prospective students. But she's one of many students who have their own stories to tell about how they have proactively integrated their career thinking into their academic study at the UCL School of Management with tangible effect. So, that's something that I would leave with you today. I'd encourage you to think about, the programs that we're offering and the dedicated support and the growth trajectory that we have here, but that we are open for any questions you may have. And as Grace said, if you've got any questions, feel free to go live and put those questions to us, and we're more than happy to answer those today. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you find it a very useful event.
Thank you very much, Helen. Thank you for that. I'll stop sharing my screen now, so hopefully I'll start to see some faces. and we can get into some questions from you guys. So I know it can be intimidating to be the first one to ask, but please don't worry, we're not that scary. And this is really a good opportunity for you to make the most of having us in the room and getting some top tips from us. So please feel free to put your hand up, or if you can't find that button down the bottom, then just pop your camera on and we can unmute yourselves and you can ask away. I think whilst you think of the questions, as I can see no one's done that immediately, what we'll maybe do is just hear a couple of words from our students. So Tasmita and Elizabeth, it would be quite nice if you could just give us a few words about how you found your experience at the School of Management so far. So Tasmita, unfortunately, you're first on my screen, so you'll be on my hit list. Are you okay to just give us a couple of words?
Yeah, so like I was introduced before, I'm Tasmita. I study management at UCL. And I did a lot of research before coming into UCL and picking this specific course because I do have a bit of business accounting background, but I particularly wanted to pick more of a management corporate pathway role because I liked how the modules were aligned and how they were going more into the business sector, which was my interest, and I want to go into consulting as well in the future. And the course itself was really like pushing me, and it was exposed. And they have also the career session, which really helps me to like find recruiters and also talk to different companies and stuff. And I really enjoy being here at UCL because the lecturers are really helpful, the staff members are, and also we have wide range of resources, and UCL is an excellent university, so I'm really grateful for being there.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I can see we've got a question, but Elizabeth, just while we're doing the student element, do you want to give a couple of lines as well, and then we'll move on to questions?
Of course. So, hi everyone. I'm Elizabeth, and I study a master's in entrepreneurship. And so far, my experience has been nothing but great. What I really like about this master's is the fact that all teachers are very passionate about their modules, and you can really tell how inspiring they are, and they give us lots of top tips from their own experiences as well. Almost every academic has opened a business, even now has a business or has had in the past. So that is quite helpful if you're thinking of having your own startup, or if you're already having your own business.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Okay, so I can see we've had a few people ask some questions. So I'm also going to apologize if I mispronounce any names. Please do correct me. But I can see Saba, you've put your hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself and pop your camera on if feasible?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect. Thank you so much for this session. It's very informative. I have a question which might be a bit too specific, but I was wondering about the references. So I'm considering applying for a management program, and if I've understood correctly, that requires one reference and one that is academic. But I've studied in Sweden, where the classes are very large sizes. You have like 300 students per each class, and there are very few professors that you know well enough that they can write a reference for you. So I was wondering if it would be possible to have an employer instead write a reference letter. Or
So it's not too specific. We can definitely answer that. So in terms of you're currently still studying, so have you had any industry experience since you studied to now?
I graduated in June, but I've done various internships throughout my studies. So I've had like maybe the last year of my studies working mostly, but whilst I was studying.
Yes. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
we will require an academic reference. So the kind of policy
Okay.
is if you've been out of academia for around 4 years, then we could have a professional reference. But what I would say is if you haven't got a specific module lead, for example, or the program director who you know personally, then maybe if there's someone else in the university that you've worked quite closely with and could attest to your academic abilities and you as a person, because what we're looking for in these references really is just to see that they know you. So it's much nicer to have that than a generic reference that you can see they've copy and pasted. So if you've worked quite closely with your personal tutor, maybe they could be the person, because typically they will also have access to your academic elements as well. So I'd say have a think about that. And if not, if you think actually, no, I really want it to be one of the module lead that I've done really well in, for example, then my advice to you would be just ask them for a quick meeting and just say, look, I want to put you down as my reference, but have you got 15 minutes so I can just take you for a coffee? Academics love a coffee, they're always caffeine deprived. So say I can just take you for a quick coffee, and just so you can remember my face before you write it, and we can have a quick chat. We see that in our university that it goes well, and our academics respond to it very well. So I'm sure yours would too. So that would be my main piece of advice to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I was also just wondering if they were to ask, is it that they get like specific questions to fill in, or will they be able to upload a letter?
So I believe we ask them to cover certain points and then they can craft that how they want. So it wouldn't be like a question box, and they typically will write a couple of paragraphs. So that allows it to be a bit more personal.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the advice. I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for asking the question. Lovely. So I can see Natalie, you've got your hand up.
Hi, yes.
Hi, Natalie.
Yeah, my question is because I really want to apply for the master's in business analytics. So I was going to ask like maybe what you would be looking for in your students or applicants, because currently I'm doing a business management degree, but it isn't exactly very quantitative. So I'm trying to pursue things on the side that would perhaps get me into this course.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. It's a good question to ask as well. So for the business analytics program, you don't necessarily have to have a really quantitative background. So don't worry about that. We will guide you through that. So the first semester is really, or the first term is about building up your skill set in programming and things like that. So I would advise that you do some before to make your life easier and it won't be such a hard first semester. But what we really want to see in your application is why you want to study business analytics. So what is it about the program that excites you, and why do you want to study that with us? So just showing us that you really understand the contents of the program, and we quite like to see how you think that applies to the real world. So you understand the contents of the program, and obviously data and analytics is disrupting industries everywhere. But what is it about that attracts you? So in terms of your application, it's more, there are different types, aren't there? The US is very much tell me about your sporting career and all the extracurricular things you've done. In the UK, it's much more academic focused. So we're really looking to see that you understand the content of the program you're applying for and how that actually applies to what you want to do, and what's happening in the world in that specific topic that you're wanting to apply for, and where you want to go. Like, what is it you're professionally aspiring to? Tell us that element about you, with less fanciness about your previous kind of being in the football team or whatever it may be. So that's what we're really looking for. And I don't know if our students want to add anything about how you found your application process and what you think is kind of a top tip from your perspective.
I don't mind. Oh,
sorry.
okay. So I think one thing that I've done, and I think that served me very well for my application, was showing enthusiasm. And it is one of the top tips, which is also covered in when you're applying for the masters in entrepreneurship. They do say a lot about showing why you want to study this specific masters. And even if you don't have a business idea or you haven't particularly been involved in any business competitions, you shouldn't worry about that. As long as you can say why this specific masters. So for example, you could say that you think this is the safe and the right environment to find like your team to be able to build the business you want, or to be able to build an app that would still get you really, really far. There are a lot of people on the course who haven't started a business yet. And they're there. So as long as you can show like your research and why you specifically want this master's, I think that will serve you pretty well.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And Tasmita, maybe for you as well, because your management and business analytics are a similar kind of background in some ways to apply to.
I would say, like just Elizabeth said, in your personal statement, like mention your enthusiasm, why specifically this course and why also UCL, like why you're really passionate about it. Also put down your like experiences apart from your studies, also your experiences and like your extracurricular activities a little bit, like what maybe influenced you to maybe study this specific course. And because I picked management, the corporate pathway, I had also mentioned like I wanted to do specifically corporate pathway in my personal statement. So there's a lot of guides on the UCL website how to write a personal statement for I found it for School of Management. So you can follow that template and basically tailor your CV, personal statement.
Okay, thank you. Because like yeah, I was like thinking whether to take like the GMAT GRE to boost it, or like because since my degree wasn't very quant initially, I was like thinking, is it necessary for me to get an additional cert in like SQL, Python to kind of boost the application?
No, not at all. So, and that's actually something to mention. Our programs don't require the GMAT or GRE. So, my advice would be, unless you're looking for the Masters in Finance or Finance with Data Science, and use
Yeah.
the evidence to us that you have that background, so it might not be as clear in terms of your progression, that's when we would maybe look for a GMAT or GRE. For the other programs, it's not something we're really looking at. Obviously, if you haven't, it's good. It always is nice to add that because it's just an extra string to your bow. But it's not a case of go and do that because you need it for this application, especially for business analytics. I would just say in whatever work you've done, try and pull out elements that you think are relevant. So if you've done certain modules and maybe some of them have got data analysis in or a little bit of
Yes.
coding, pull that out so we can see that, you know, you're actually interested and you've enjoyed those bits.
Yeah.
You don't have to take anything before you come. We do send you like a reading list ahead of time. So that's really good
Mhm.
to get accepted onto the program. I definitely advise doing that. And the program director does say you don't have to do anything, but if you do want to get a head start, there is no harm in watching a few Python for beginners and things like that, YouTube videos, just to get an idea. It will make your life a little bit easier when you do join. But we understand that we've got to start from scratch with that and build everyone up. So it's very intense. So if you do a little bit before, you may be able to breathe slightly. And if you don't, then you'll have an intense few weeks kind of building you up to that. So that would be the only thing to do. But personal statements, interviews, be yourself, be enthusiastic, and really pull out why. If it looks like it's generic and you've sent it off to 10 different universities, we know that. We read thousands of these. So just make sure you're tailoring it to the specific program at our school, and we will see that. And that stands you out massively compared to some of the crowd who don't do that.
Okay, that's great to hear. Because I mean, I genuinely really like doing like the analytics kind of thing, and UCL Business Analytics is my top choice. I'm not sure if it's a question that could be answered, but is it very competitive?
Yes, so I'm glad that you enjoy business analytics, and I will say this across all of our programs. So this is for anyone who's listening about something else too. Our programs are competitive. We are number 9 in the world, so that does mean that we attract a lot of high quality, good students. So it is a competitive process. But what we do look for as well in our applicants is different people in the room. We want to have a nice cohort. We've got people from different backgrounds. So you might find yourself, you've come from a business background. There might be someone from a psychology background on a business analytics program. So we want to have that mix that you can all learn from each other. So it is competitive. That's why we say get your application sorted early, come with everything ready, your references, your entry requirements, if you can, your English language evidence, come with all of that ready so you can submit. But yes, it is competitive. I wish I could say it wasn't, but it is. But it means it's worthwhile when you get it.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Natalie.
If I can just quickly butt in because we were talking about personal statements, we did receive a question in the chat about specifically the MSc management as to top tips for writing personal statements, and I know that we covered that a little bit, but maybe some common mistakes to avoid as well.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you. In terms of common mistakes, it sounds ridiculous, but check your grammar, check your punctuation, check it all, because that just looks to us if there are mistakes in terms of grammar or spacing mistakes or spelling mistakes, that you haven't really proofed it. And it shows a lack of attention to detail, which for all of our programs you do require. So do get someone else to read it, because you will write this. You'll read it 10 times and you will not see any mistakes, even if they're there, because you're just going to be reading the same thing. So get someone else to check it. There is a page on the UCL website. I'll see if I can find it when someone else is speaking, that actually gives you some guidance on writing it. And they do give you top tips, and we also give you some things to avoid. So that's something to look at. And it even tells you how to weight it. So more academic, less kind of personal achievement focus, and it gives you some percentages. So we'll try and pop that link in if one of my colleagues can have a look, and if not, I'll find it and send it over. But I would say make sure you read it, make sure that you don't copy and paste bits from different personal statements and don't tailor them. Again, we'll see if that feels out of sync and it doesn't flow right. So just pay attention to it. And just common mistakes are to not read what we say on our website. So if you go on to these pages, scroll right down to the bottom, and you'll see, when we accept your application, we would like to learn, and then there's a list of bullet points of things they want to learn. Now that is very clear, and that tells you exactly what we're wanting to know. So be sensible, read everything, take it in and apply it. Perfect. So I can see we've got a couple more live questions. So
Sorry, I would just excuse myself.
Oh yes, yeah. So Tasmita has to leave because she has a class. So thank you very much for joining us today. If you guys have got any more questions that specifically focus, email us. We'll pop our email address in, and we can always talk to Tasmita after.
Thank you. Bye.
I can see Alfin, you've got your hand up.
Thanks, Grace. Yeah, thanks for the session. Really helpful. Just a quick question. Another one on the business analytics course. Is the third term project, can you work with a previous employer of yours on that project? That was my first question. And the second one was just around experience. So would you recommend the course to someone who's got 3 to 4 years of work experience in the analytics field? Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. Both great questions. In terms of the final project, yes, you can work with a previous employer. So we have employers that we can match you up with. And like I said, they come from an array of industries. So it could be non-for-profit, governmental, corporates, banks, whatever it might be. So we have that, or tech firms. So we have that already. But we do say, if you have an employer that you would like to work with and you have a connection, then we'll help facilitate that. So what we'll do is we'll talk to the employer, we'll send them a quick contract. The reason we put a contract in place is because you get graded on this dissertation. So we need to make sure they're not going to just drop off the radar and not give you the data you need halfway through. So then we'll just have a quick meeting with them, and that will be done by our team. You don't have to worry about that. And then you can work with them on the project for sure. In terms of if it's applicable for someone with 3 to 4 years experience in the industry already, I think that is that would depend, and I think maybe we can talk offline about this, Alfin, so you can follow up with myself if one of my colleagues can pop my email address in there, and we can have a little look, please. But essentially, if you've already been in the industry doing exactly the kind of coding roles, then it might not give you more than you've already learned in that sense. You will definitely learn more, but I would say you could possibly look at different types of programs. So we didn't touch on these in the presentation because we're here really for postgrad, and know we have a variety of different levels, but there are things like the MBA, for example, that are slightly different, that might be better when someone's got 4 or 5 years experience to take to like a leadership role. So I think let's have a look at, if you are able, when we follow up, if you could send me your CV, for example, so I can kind of see what you've done, that would be really helpful. And then we can actually advise on a specific case. Because if you had 1 or 2 years, I'd say, yeah, you're still going to get amazing things from this. But if you're talking more the 4-year end, then let's have a little chat and look at your case specifically.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Lovely. So I can't see any more hands up. Maybe people are a bit shy, but I can see lots has been going on in the chat. So thank you guys for kind of fielding those questions as well. That's great. But yeah, I think what we'll do then is, if nobody has any more questions, I appreciate you're probably all hungry and it's lunchtime if you're in the UK or wherever else you might be. Maybe it's nighttime or morning, who knows? But we will follow up with this, so you'll get a copy of the recording. But my colleagues have put our joint email address in the chat for now. So I would say, if between now and us following up, because obviously we need to send the recording out and things like that, you have questions, just reach out to us. We're more than happy to answer them. And if something comes to mind, as soon as you click leave, normally a question pops in your head, you say, oh, I wish I'd have asked that. Just fire it over and we're happy to answer it. But we really appreciate you all joining us today. Hopefully it's been insightful. I know we've thrown a lot of information at you. You've had a lot of different people talk, students, careers, myself. But if hopefully it's given you a bit more clarity on what the School of Management is, what we offer, and the different programs. But yeah, if not, just to say thank you so much for joining us. And